Welcome to HoodChampionBoxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Cheat to win. Is that what Virgil Ortiz has been doing? Is that what Beterbiev has been doing? Have those guys been cheating to get their victories and to get their knockouts? Their records are identical. 20 wins, 20 KOs. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are people, boxing fans, when they look at these records, they ask themselves, who, what, when, where, why, how in the world do these guys get records? 20 wins, 20 KOs. And it's not like just technical knockouts and stuff. I mean, that's destroying people in the ring. As each round goes by, they get stronger and stronger, don't seem to slow down, don't seem to relent. And that has drove the questioning about whether they are or are not just putting in the hard work and dedication, or if it's hard work, dedication, and a cocktail. Now, I'm going to tell you this. When people start talking that shit, right? I was like, man, I love a conspiracy theory. I love the joke about the secret society. But I wasn't really seeing it. And with Virgil Ortiz, Blair Cobb was very outspoken about it. And I did several videos. But although Blair Cobb had to retract his statements, right? Because he didn't want to deal with any lawsuits and fines and penalties, right? But to this day, he feels that Virgil Ortiz may have been taking some kind of banned substance. So so the fact that he's never really let off of it, he's just kind of figured out a way to still accuse him of cheating without saying it anymore. I went out and I did some research. Because he said one of the side effects of taking steroids is developing rhabdo. And that got my attention. I said, okay, he's no longer just rambling now. Now he says something that has some teeth to it. So let me at least see if this is true. So I went and looked it up, and no kidding. When a person is taking steroids, one of the side effects can be developing rhabdomyolysis. Now, that doesn't mean Virgil Ortiz was taking anything. It could be just like what they said, just basically, working way too hard. And as a result, you start to have some serious complications, man, and serious non-reversible tissue damage to your body. So I tend to believe that Virgil Ortiz just pushes himself, or was pushing himself so hard in the gym, to where his body was breaking down. And there are all kind of studies done on different colleges where strength and conditioning coaches or coaches for different sports are just pushing their athletes too hard, and athletes end up going to the doctor with this rhabdomyolysis. Some even die. Okay, so I'm not here to go into what rhabdomyolysis is. You can look on my channel. I know I got thousands of videos, but I've done videos on what rhabdo is. I'm not going to sit here and peel the layers back on that shit again. But my thing is, as far as looking at these guys with their records, 20-0 for Virgil Ortiz, I don't think. I mean, I guess we could have a conversation, but there's nothing there to make me believe that he's on a banned substance. There's nothing there. Now, if he got up to 70 wins, 70 KOs, then you got to ask a goddamn question. But because that's a little crazy. But still, depending on who they're fighting, that's not something that can't be achieved. It's achievable if you put the right opponent in front of a person. Now, I know there's some people watching this video saying, that's right, Deontay Wilder. No, man, let's not take it to the stupid. Deontay can crack. But Virgil Ortiz overwhelms opponents. And that's how he gets his victories. He's not in there with the one-hitter quitter. He just overwhelms them. All right, so I don't think it's fair to accuse Virgil Ortiz of being on PEDs. But I do understand why the conversation comes up, because one of the many side effects of taking steroids is developing rhabdo, which he did have complications with rhabdo on 2 different occasions. Who knows? Maybe more. We don't know about it. I just know about 2. But bottom line is, fans, to me, when they look at his record of 20 wins, 20 knockouts, I personally think that's a little unfair to him to say he's on an illegal cocktail. Now, when it comes to Artur Beterbiev, right? This is where, Artur has a little bit of a problem. Because Beterbiev, I did my research on him. And I've talked about this in the video already. He's been knocking people out since the amateurs. He is a knockout artist. Okay? Simple. So the fact that he's in the pros and destroying people, I never once questioned anything he was doing. He's a very hard man. He trains very hard. He has these unorthodox training methods, things to strengthen his knuckles, his hands, his wrists. He's a machine, and he's mean as shit. So when he comes in that ring, he's not coming in there to tickle you. He's coming in there to bing you. But the problem with Beterbiev, see, this is where Virgil Ortiz had the issues with rhabdo and getting sick. That had nothing to do with PEDs, okay? For Artur Beterbiev, his name hit the headlines because I'll just tell you what happened, right? There was this big thing about him and if he's been using performance enhancement drugs, right? But there was a VADA test for his fight with Caleb Smith that ended up testing positive for. Now, this is what it was, right? Let me find that. Okay, right here. So before, before they were able to, finalize all the negotiations, right? Beterbiev had to defend his titles. Before he could finish negotiations with Bivol, Beterbiev had to defend his titles. He has 3, Bivol has 1 against Caleb Smith. But the fight week, there was a lot of drama because of a drug test that he took with VADA, right? Now, during that fight week, his drug test kit, now it had come back months ago. And this is what sucks about this. They didn't say anything, but it had come back months ago that his drug test showed atypical findings of HGH and testosterone. Now, there was a boxer reporter, Michael Benson, who kind of expounded a little bit to help everyone kind of get a better understanding of what happened. Now, what they said when it comes to Beterbiev is he had an atypical finding for raised levels of HGH and testosterone metabolite 5D, androstenediol, in a December 6 VADA drug test ahead of his fight versus Caleb Smith on Saturday. It says here, however, both substances occur naturally in the body, and an atypical finding is not a violation like an adverse finding, a positive test. So the fight is set to go ahead because follow-up tests requested by VADA were all negative. I'll just show you what I just read for those of you who... Okay, so this is the issue. When boxing fans, when they look at Beterbiev now, a lot of them see him as a cheat. Tony Bellew is a retired boxer. He feels that Beterbiev is a cheat. There are a lot of fighters out there now who feel like he's always been on something. And a lot of them feel that this is the secret society in full effect right here, where you got a guy who tests positive for this testosterone and this other substance, right? They both may be testosterone. I don't know what the fuck they are, but bottom line is the metabolite 5D, androstenediol, right? To have that in your system And to say it's atypical, they feel this is just a secret society trying to cover things up because it really should be an adverse finding. And they're saying if this is something that's naturally occurs in the body, how come more fighters aren't testing positive for it? So when you ask those questions, I had to say, hey, fair play. I'd want to know too. How come on every other test we're not getting atypical findings for this crap? You understand? If this is something that occurs naturally in the body, why aren't more fighters testing positive for it? It doesn't make any sense to me. You got guys playing sports, football, basketball. Everyone's getting the same kind of injuries, because they're all involved in the same kind of business. So you got these guys in boxing. I'm sure some of these guys have high testosterone levels naturally. Why aren't we getting more atypical finds like this? And for those of you who are saying, man, people are reaching, I'm telling you, I think Beterbiev and Ortiz have earned their records because Beterbiev, he's been knocking people out since the amateurs. And somebody's like, well, he's been taking steroids ever since he was an amateur. I'm like, my man, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. First, Artur Beterbiev, man, been taking steroids since he was a goddamn teenager. Get out of here with that bullshit. I'm not saying, especially in Russia and China and other countries, we all know the amateur system is corrupt. But he's been knocking people out cold since an amateur. So I'm not surprised that he's doing it now, knocking people out. But as far as him possibly taking PEDs, I never entertained that until this crap came out about him having an atypical finding. But if it's atypical, it's atypical, all right? And I tend to believe that Beterbiev is clean, Virgil Ortiz is clean. If they are abusing these steroids, you just think at some point in time it will show up. At some point in time, their lives would become very miserable. Their health would rapidly decline. You just can't continue cycling this bullshit and expect to continue living a healthy lifestyle. That's just not how it works. Some point in time, it's going to show up. If not today, if not tomorrow, not 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but at some point in time, it's going to show up. And that's when we'll learn if there was foul play. But for right now, you got to get them the green light. You got to get them guys a pass. It's not fair to sit there and say these guys are cheating. That's how they got 20 wins and 20 KOs. So if a guy gets 10 wins and 10 KOs, is he cheating? 15, 16 wins, 15, 16 KOs, 45, it just depends on the fighter. It depends on, who they have in front of them, how the fight goes. It's just a lot of factors that come into play. But these guys have actually been fighting pretty good fighters. And they've just been, especially Beterbiev. He's just relentless, man. I'll put it to you like this, right? If you've ever sparred, right? Especially, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. But if you're in there, and this is why the shit about styles makes fight. It's interesting. If you've ever been in the ring fighting, and let's say the first round you feel good, second round you feel good, third round you feel good, but that fourth round you start to get a little tired. But the person you're sparring with or fighting with, they keep picking up steam. It forces you to make a decision. Because when they're on your ass, man, you start thinking about all kind of shit. Mama, help me, because it gets real uncomfortable in there. So I can only imagine a guy like Beterbiev or Virgil Ortiz, where you've thrown everything you can to keep them off you, and they just keep coming, keep pounding on you, keep cutting the ring off, keep touching you, and you just start to break down. It all starts here mentally because you're stressed. They keep you in a duress state for a long time, and your ass is gonna be stressed out and uncomfortable for a while, and eventually, I think guys just quit. They're getting hit, they're getting beat, they go in the corner, they just kind of cower. Referee stops the fight because there's nothing you can do. and your mind is, you may want to continue, but your mind is like, stop, just stop. You know, you almost want someone to save you. But I'll tell you what, cheat to win. I don't think it's fair to say that about these guys, especially Virgil Ortiz. But I could understand the conversation because that's one of the side effects from taking steroids. And Beterbiev, I think that's foul too. But you could understand the conversation because they found out there was this test, a typical fine, and no one really wanted to say anything till last minute. So I don't know. I don't think this is a case of where there's smoke, there's fire. I just think there's a case for a conversation. But if there's something going on, you better believe. I think we're going to get wind of it sooner than later. Something is going to rear its head, and then we'll talk about it. Until then, man, cut these guys some slack. I'm in the breeze.